Hey, everybody, welcome back to Plugged In Radio, episode number 15. We've made it to the 15 mark. They say in podcasting, when you get past 10, you've got some kind of groove going. So I don't know, this is only 15 episodes over here on Plugged In Radio, but maybe 115, actually no, more than that, over 200 episodes on the Matt Report. Anyway, we're doing good things over here at Plugged In Radio. This is the show where it's all about learning how to use plugins, and then oftentimes we talk about WordPress headlines with a co-host who joins us every other week or so. Today, we're going to talk about learning management systems, and specifically, I got Chris Badgett on the phone, on the line. His pretty face is right up here on the screen with us. He can't see me, but I can see him, from Lifter LMS. It's lifterlms.com and wordpress.org/plugins/Lifter LMS. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why he's doing this, how things are going with it, and he's going to demonstrate some important pieces of his product. Before we get there, I'd like to take a pause for the cause. For the folks who support beautiful WordPress content like this. My first sponsor, Restrict Content Pro, Pippin Williamson. I think everyone knows Pippin and what he's up to. Restrict Content Pro is a full-featured, powerful membership solution for WordPress. It's not an LMS. It's a membership plugin. We might learn the differences today, in fact, with Chris on the phone. But if you're looking for an easy way to start a membership site for your client, for your project, check out Restrict Content Pro at restrictcontentpro.com. They released an add-on today. I don't know what it was. I saw it in my email inbox, but all they do is release add-ons. It's pretty amazing. My second sponsor, Pluginize. The fine folks at Web Dev Studios have launched, not recently, but over the summer, Pluginize, pluginize.com. It's going to be their home base for all of their commercially available WordPress plugin products. And like me and like Chris, they're an agency. They do client work. And within that client work, they find needs in the WordPress space. And what do they do when they find that need? They build a plugin for it. And then what happens when they build that plugin? Well, so occasionally they turn it into a product, and we all get to sort of benefit from that. And specifically, their plugin, their most popular plugin, Custom Post Type UI. With Custom Post Type UI Extended, you can display custom post types in your WordPress site with a click of a button, almost a click of a button. You're going to throw a short code in here every now and again, maybe set up some of the query parameters. But Custom Post Type UI Extended is their flagship product. Check it out at pluginize.com. Up on the screen, I have lifterlms.com. Chris, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's great to be here.
We just found out that you're just a hop, skip, and a jump away from me in terms of New England. Welcome to this side of the country. We should meet up sometime, and in fact, we might at WordCamp US, correct?
I don't know if I'm going, but if I go, I'd love to meet you.
I thought I could
pressure, though.
Yeah, I thought I could pressure you in right there. For folks that don't know, WordCamp US is happening in Philadelphia on the weekend of December 4th. In fact, I just booked my tickets. I got my flight. I'll be bunking with my good buddy Scott Bollinger from AppPresser, and it's going to be a good time. Chris, tell us, Lifter LMS, why, how, when, how's it going? Tell us what it is. What's the 2-minute elevator pitch?
I'll do it quicker than that. Lifter LMS makes it easy to create, sell, and protect engaging online courses. So that kind of encapsulates what it does. Where it came from was a scratch your own itch situation where I actually started creating gardening courses with my wife, and then later with experts around the world. I started flying to various locations and filming events and creating a membership site, an online course website with a theme I bought off of ThemeForest. And then throughout all my time, during that same time, I'd also been building up, growing a WordPress agency, really starting to specialize in membership sites, online courses, and learning management systems, that I had a lot of great perspective and decided to focus all that energy into, with a talented team, to build Lifter LMS.
That's pretty damn sweet. For folks who are watching the video, again, if you watch the video, that is the biggest bang for your buck. I do apologize because Skype is saying that our internet connection is bad. It's loading fine for me, but I do apologize for that message that's popping up. So you have this idea, you have this pain point where you need to build these courses. What sort of things were you finding were like big issues at that time? Like, what were you looking at when you're saying, look, I found a theme, I maybe patched together some other plugins. Like, what were the big hot spots that you looked at and said, boy, this is just painful. I really got to change that and pursue something better.
So the biggest pain points that I saw was the Frankenstein of plugins you had to string together to create the desired outcome of having an online course. So when I said in the beginning that Lifter LMS makes it easy to create, that's the LMS part. To sell, that's the e-commerce part. To protect, that's the membership site part. Engaging, which is an adjective, courses, that engaging piece is one of our unique things in the market where we've really focused on adding gamification and things, and almost Infusionsoft like personalized triggers and marketing or communication sequences that you can do all from inside just WordPress and Lifter LMS.
When I hear Infusionsoft, I hear lots of options, lots of settings, big learning curve. How do you approach sort of what everybody, and this is, I know this is sort of a loaded question, but one of the things that, especially newcomers to WordPress, they're trying to learn WordPress, right? They're like, what's a post? What's a page? And then they introduce a learning management system on top of that. And then there's all of that sort of architecture, options, workflow. How do you balance, feature requests? And then on top of that, the icing on top of that is everybody comes with their own sort of view on how they want somebody to interact with their course or go through a storyline, that kind of thing. How do you balance not throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Lifter LMS? How do you balance that? How do you balance that with customer requests? How do you balance that against WordPress and the features that they put in? What's that like?
That's a great question. Before I got into building Lifter LMS, we were actually known as some of the I'll just say a go-to WordPress agency for companies and businesses that needed custom Infusionsoft development and integration with WordPress. It was one of our specialties. And because of that, we've had a lot of experience with a tool like Infusionsoft, things like marketing automation and personalized communication, e-commerce and the like, CRM, managing contacts and groups of people. So when I say that we brought in Infusionsoft-like capabilities, I'm just going to tie it into a concept as somebody who cares deeply about education and learning, that sometimes it's about curating and really just getting to the minimum. What is the best? What are the essentials here? What is the, what's the 80-20? What's the most powerful piece? So from Infusionsoft, it's the ability to personalize communication. So you can send, for example, with Lifter LMS, you can send an email. You can set it up like, hi, you can merge in the person's first name. You can put a delay on it. So let's say after a trigger that you define, something like Infusionsoft would call that applying a tag. But let's say that after the first lesson is completed, you want to send an email 2 days later, congratulating them, encouraging them to come back and keep going. Or let's say if somebody hasn't logged into your site in 5 days, you want to send an email, encouraging them to come back and really focusing on that engagement and re-engagement. But so you have these triggers, and then you have these ways to personalize the communication and merge in these structures. But it's not one of the difficulties or issues with Infusionsoft is that they try to do too much.
Right.
And you can say the same thing about, it's debatable what WordPress is doing is it too feature rich or is it not enough? These are debatable things, but when it comes to a learning management system, a membership site, selling online courses, that's the challenge we have, is to keep it simple enough that we have what are the key critical features. And then there's all kinds of agencies out there that can extend, if you want to get into some crazy custom project with all these specific use cases and scenarios, you can. But if you want to create courses, you want to sell them online, you want people to move through through the learning journey and have prerequisites or quizzes or not. We've got all the fundamentals there. But every time we have a feature request board that's up to, and available to the public, there's probably about 170 things there on there right now. And I'm just gauging, like, what are people interested in? What are people interested in? But if we were to take everything off that board and put it into the plugin, it would be impossible to use.
Oh yeah, right. No, I
But
can imagine.
it's really important for us to listen and to see what people are wanting, and also to leverage our experience with WordPress and with, in marketing and education engagement, like what really matters. So
Sure thing.
that's what we try to do.
I'm looking at one of the features that you've sort of been hinting at here, and that's the analytics portion where it says track everything, track course and membership sales, build better courses by paying attention. Got some screenshots of what looks to be like student engagement over a particular course, maybe even a series of courses. One thing I just want to say, and this is just a general statement, and maybe you can chime in on this, supporting it or not. But one of the things that I see membership courses. Everyone wants to sell membership courses. Everyone thinks that it's the sort of, it is to a degree a gold rush of a market right now, for good reason, because number one, we're looking at the rising cost of college and university. We're looking at the rising cost of continued certifications, maybe like state level licenses, federal licenses. There's so much cost involved in education, and really, at the end of the day, it's at least in our industry, speaking, I guess, just for myself and my own experiences, a lot of this stuff you don't need to go to the quote unquote higher education spaces to get a lot of the experience, or even the real hands-on trainings that we get, that we can get from somebody who's really been in it, building their own course, which has led to this huge rush, right? This huge rush of people selling online. But the point of that sort of soapbox stand was, I think a lot of people buy stuff in the online education space and they never use it. I remember when I first got into this world, when I started my agency 9 years ago now, I don't even remember the name of the. It wasn't a course, because courses weren't really defined as a online course as they are today. Back then, it was more of a forum / mastermind thing. I never even logged in. Right? I bought it. I was sold on the idea, and then I never even logged in. I ended up canceling it like 2 or 3 months into it. But what I like about what I'm just looking at, even on just this one analytics feature, is you can see if people are completing this stuff, right? And like you said, you could maybe set up even triggers that say, hey, log in. Like step 1, you want to succeed with the money you just paid me to take this course? How about you log in, buddy?
Right. Right.
You said that you're very invested in education and online education. What parts of your real world experience with education have you brought into this, and have you seen those bits sort of become successful, like getting people to engage and measuring that? Why is this important in the online education space?
Well, engagement is everything, and I'm just personal, like in my personal life and experience. I come from a academic background. I went to college. I studied anthropology, which has nothing to do with WordPress or education software. But what I was fascinated by is people, and that is what makes me a good marketer. It's not because I'm influential. I have an insane curiosity about people, and I also love learning. I'm also a parent of two young daughters, and how they go through life and learning is really important to me. So, for example, we just got off of a 6-month road trip. We were operating, I was running the business out of a travel trailer. We were going to a bunch of national parks. I was meeting up with business partner in California, and they had a lot of great learning experiences. And that type of thing that's why I'm saying this is my life's work, because I personally am really into learning. Nothing is more exciting than me than getting the curiosity filled, or just enjoying working with curiosity and learning new things and being around other people who are into the same thing too. and having a great environment that encourages that, and also doing that for my daughters, and also as a guy who runs, owns, and operates a company, trying to create that learning environment inside my organization is really important to me as well. So that's where a lot of that comes from. I've heard the statistic. I think it was actually a study that Udemy did where they said that the average course completion rate is 10% for their courses. And I have a podcast called LMS Cast where I talk about these subjects a lot. One of our most popular episodes is called The Dirty Little Secret of Membership Sites, which is where there's a lot of focus, especially for the people buying the tool, which isn't necessarily the end user, on like locking down the content, putting up this great paywall that has a great conversion optimized like sales page and checkout screen. But in my view, that's the wrong conversation. It's all about getting real world results for people and training that really works. So I'm just going to give you 3 things. I've done if I can boil it down, years and years and years of experience and tons of conversations into just 3 things that cause success in the online learning space. It is the wisdom or the knowledge, and these are rarely found in one person. This is why most great learning projects take a team. But you have that wisdom and knowledge, that expertise. You have that instructional design, which is the packaging of the course content into videos or worksheets, or maybe it's a little bit blended where you have some videos, you have a live event you go to, you have a webinar, whatever. That instructional design of like putting a wrapper around that knowledge and packaging it is really important. And that's a skill that a lot of people with expertise and wisdom don't have. But then you need a delivery system and a vehicle for that. And that's where like Lifter LMS comes in as a tool to connect the learner to that learning journey. But you need all 3 of those things to be successful. And all this stuff about a gold rush for online courses and online education, it is true the industry is booming, but what really matters today for success is for having people get the result that is promised by the course and really having transformational results. That's what matters. That's what the market is hungry for. That's what people who are trying to learn skills to get jobs, they need to take the course and then actually be marketable and able to get the job, or improve their health, or improve their relationships, or become a better sales professional, or build an agency, or whatever it is. The most important thing is that it's engaging and then it actually works.
It's amazing stuff. I mean, obviously, I couldn't say it better than that because you're living and breathing this stuff. Plenty of times I've heard Seth Godin talk about, his membership, or I shouldn't say membership, his online learning course, and talk about the average, completion rate is far less than, or far more than 80% in some cases, where 80% of the people buying this stuff, they're not even completing it. So, it's absolutely correct to have all of these points, hitting. It's funny, like an hour ago before we started the show, I have a plugin called Easy Support Videos, and Easy Support Videos allows you to embed videos in the admin dashboard of a WordPress site, so that if your client has a question on how to use something in WordPress, you can just, if you're the consultant, you can just paste the video link in there and it embeds it and you're done. It's super easy. But I embed Wistia videos in there so that I can actually see if they watch my training videos. And it was funny because I had a conversation with a client and they were like, yeah, I watched the video, but I still can't figure out how to do it. And I can just go over to Wistia stats and be like, you didn't watch it. I just looked at the stats. You didn't watch it. So how are you going to learn this stuff if you're not even, clicking on these links and hitting play? So, I mean, it's all across the board, this stuff. One last question before we dive into your demonstration of the product, or at least a part of the product. We had this conversation shortly, for a very short amount of time the other day when we were on the phone. But what is the difference between maybe a traditional membership plugin versus a LMS plugin? Are there 1 or 2 things that really set them apart?
The big thing is that the membership plugin is typically designed to restrict access to content, possibly allow that content level or that membership level to be sold as like a unit. And then once it's sold, that member or that user can now see certain pages or categories, but it's not necessarily focused on education. They may have like modules with some videos in it, but there's not necessarily all those things that reinforce learning, whether that's, certification or achievement badges or like these well architected engagement emails that we're talking about. Someone who owns a membership site may set up a goal in Google Analytics to like, look at traffic and conversion. But like in Lifter LMS, which is a learning management system, we have sales metrics in there, but we also have learner metrics so that you can look at where people are falling off. You don't need to go to Google Analytics or anything. And if you see that a lot of progress stops at lesson 3, you have a huge opportunity, and you're making a data-driven decision to, maybe redo lesson 3 or try to increase engagement or help your learner on their journey get over whatever roadblock typically pops up around then. So that's I would say the membership at a philosophical level, membership is about protection and getting the sale, but LMS is really about the learning journey and engagement. And a lot of people use Lifter LMS they're not even selling their courses, or they're doing internal training within an organization. So there's different, nuances to how they all play out.
It's a great answer. That's great stuff. Definitely a clear distinction between the two for anybody who's curious. At this time, we're going to switch over to Chris setting up his demo. He's going to show us a little bit of Lifter LMS. And while he sets that up, call your attention over to the screen. MattReport.com/season 4. Season 4 launched last week in Netflix style approach. And that is all 10 episodes are available at MattReport.com/season 4. Or if you subscribe to me on SoundCloud, you can get it there. But one episode has actually gone out into the iTunes link, and that is episode 1 with Logan Nicholson, Music for Makers. Great episode, by the way. Somebody who is not really in WordPress like Chris and I are, maybe even you listening to the show. Just a guy who showed up and wanted to build a great marketplace for royalty-free music. He used Easy Digital Downloads and built that. But again, 10 episodes of awesomeness. Go check that out. MattReport.com/season 4. And each individual episode will release every week up until the holidays, or all the way up until the end of the year, in fact. So let's switch over to Chris's screen where he has his demo set up.
Awesome. Well, yeah, this is just a base Lifter LMS install. I've got 3 courses here. I'm logged in as the administrator, so I can kind of go everywhere. You can see, even as the administrator, this is a progress bar. I've completed this health course. Just started this music course. And, you can see, where I'm at, what I've completed. I could set up like prerequisites so that I couldn't move on. I could inject quizzes and things inside of individual lessons. But there's really, it's like WordPress itself in that there is a lot to learn, but there's a learning curve. It's intuitive if you already understand WordPress. We attract a lot of people who maybe even haven't heard of WordPress. They just want to set up a learning management system, and they like the ethos and the opportunity to do that with WordPress and open source and have plugins and themes to extend and go from there. So we work with both WordPress power users or newbies, but also a lot of people who have never used WordPress at all. So we have a demo course that helps get people really into how everything works. But if we were to go into the back end of a course, I can show you what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since we're talking about memberships, though, I want you to know that you can sell groups of courses at once through a membership. So I have like 2 memberships set up here. You can protect. Lifter LMS by itself is also a membership plugin. So this is just a page right here that I have protected by a membership level. somebody was asking me how to have a course or have a membership that is just, something else. So I just created this page and made a quick video for them to show them how that works. But if I go into the back end of this course here, if you scroll down, you can see this course builder here. I like to think it's pretty intuitive. You can add new sections and lessons or clone existing lessons and so on. But this architecture here really gives you the visual representation of, what's the curriculum of your course. So if we, go inside this lesson, we can see we've got a video. I'm actually using a Gravity form here. We have a Gravity form extension so that if you want somebody to complete a form in order to complete a lesson, that opens up the door to a lot of different things, whether that's collecting an upload or having somebody submit a bunch of information or give feedback and so on. But a lesson, if you can put it in a WordPress post, you can put it in a Lifter LMS lesson. So that could be videos, audios, text, images, whatever you want to embed. I've seen people embed all kinds of different things in there. We've got drip content. If you want all the lessons, one of the ways we fight for engagement is to not overload people with access to everything at once. In some cases, it's annoying, but for some people, like if you have a really step-by-step type course and you really want people to stay hyper-focused on like the week one, then you would drip out the lessons like every week so that you're fighting that distraction of someone being able to jump around and jump ahead. Sure. So that's drip content. We also have quizzes that you can attach to lessons and add, number of attempts allowed, passing percentages required, multiple choice type things is where we're at right now. You could have prerequisites like I can't take this lesson until I complete another lesson and so on.
And you can link that specifically to, let's say, a quiz at the end of a lesson. And, if they don't pass that quiz, then they can't move on.
Yeah. If there's a quiz attached to lesson 2 and you have like an 80% passing required, they can't go to the next lesson until they pass that quiz.
Got it.
And there's really, there's a lot of options, like in terms of, setting up the courses and the lessons and the quizzes. This is all very much like LMS type stuff. We have tracks. So this is like where you can create a bunch of courses, assign them to a track, which is like a category in WordPress. But on completion of that track, meaning you've completed all the courses, but not in any certain order, you can trigger an engagement off of that. So the classic way to use a course track is to create a degree program, or let's say you want to create some kind of, these are all the courses you need to know if you want to become a WordPress developer, or these are all the courses that you should take if you want to start this certain kind of business, but you don't necessarily have to take them in a certain order. That's what a track is. And then engagements, there's achievement badges, there's certificates, and there's emails. We were talking about emails a little bit here, so let's just look at this one. This is just, merging in somebody's first name. You can CC and BCC other people on certain emails if you want to, but you would set up, first you have to create the thing. So I'm creating an email here, and then I would set up an engagement to do that. So I'm saying, okay, when a student purchases this course, this specific course, I want to send an email. I want to send this specific email, and I want the delay to be 1 day. So you can see there's so many different permutations you could do.
Sure.
With that, but that's what I mean by just taking some of the best thinking out of something like Infusionsoft, where you can do personalized marketing and delays and drip and things like that, and just bringing it all right here for you, right inside WordPress.
Got it. Do you have any data on this staging server to show reports? Just to have a quick look at what that looks like, or analytics, whatever.
Sure. There's a little bit. There's not a ton, but if I go to an individual course, I I've created, I should show you what this looks like too, to a non-logged in user. This is just in terms of e-commerce analytics and a quick snapshot, or if you wanted to kick somebody out or go edit an order. We also have like recurring payments. So like I said, we combine a lot of things. We're an all-in-one solution. We do have a WooCommerce integration, but you don't need it. If you want to do recurring payments with PayPal or Stripe, we've got you covered here. You don't need WooCommerce. You don't need Woo subscriptions. We bring that same functionality right here inside Lifter LMS's e-commerce system.
Got it.
But so these are more just like enrollment, quick analytics. But if I go over here to analytics, there's not much in this one, but you can see how we're getting reports. Sure. And like we're talking about, these are sales reports, but if we look in enrollments reports, and we can get into like specific, students, looking and see how they're doing, and then and start getting into like student management. There's just different ways and filters for looking at various things.
That would, in that example right there, it's Chris Badgett, and the course is the health and fitness course. Are you able to see what an individual student has engaged across a course or a track or whatever?
Yeah, you can do that like over here. Like if I'm administering this health and fitness course and I want to, I can see the last lesson completed, where they're at in terms of progress.
Oh, cool.
And kind of get into it from here.
It's pretty amazing stuff, pretty powerful stuff that you have set up here. It's definitely something that one would have to, I'll take a
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a step back, and I'm going to actually exit the demo. We'll go back to our faces here. You can actually exit your screen share. One of the things that I think become particularly challenging for some folks is like marketing automation, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Another perfect example, like the example I mentioned before, some people buy a course and they never use it. So it's important that, number one, that they're, half the battle is that they're engaged. Half the battle is that the person selling the course should make it engaging as well. When I originally signed up for Drip, the platform email platform Drip, I didn't use it. Same thing. Like I bought it. I was like, this is going to solve a lot of, this is back when marketing automation started getting really hot and Drip first came onto the scene. And I signed up for it and I was like, wow, this is going to be great. And then I realized how much time it's going to take to actually set up the content, right? Like I didn't have any content prepared. I didn't have any goals outlined. And I sat on it for a couple months and I ended up canceling it. And then going back 2 months later, after I finally sat down and built the Drip session that I wanted and created that course, no different than this. So as we sort of wrap this conversation up, I mean, do you have any tips for people who have never built a course? Like what they should do at a real fundamental level to get themselves organized on the idea that they want to sell a course, like
yes,
bullet points.
Yeah, well, I can definitely give some good advice there. And one of the reasons I can do that is because I'm there. I'm not just making the software. I create and sell courses. I partner with other people to do it. I do it for clients. I'm just all around it all the time.
Sure.
And but it all started with me, and I gave myself a challenge. I think it was 2012 or something, that I was going to launch a course in one day. This was on Udemy at the time. It wasn't on WordPress. And this may sound funny, but I challenged myself to create a course on cooking omelets, which is something I'm actually pretty good at. And I got a video camera. I went to the grocery store and I created like 6 different omelet recipes. I recorded it that night and I had it published on Udemy, and I still get sales to this day. that was my first experience, like creating a course. And then I got better and better. I did it on WordPress. I started using themes, and then, but yeah, I had to start. That is the most important thing, is that my video wasn't perfect. I didn't have my own website, so I went to Udemy to do it. And I just figured it out. I just got it out there, and my audio was not great. So that's number one, is you just got to do it, because it's a craft. It's an art form. You have to start. You have to kind of be bad before you get good at it. And that's just how we learn. So that would be one. The other is just to come back to my original. If I could impart everybody with one piece of advice, it would be to think realistically and honestly about the three-legged stool that we talked about earlier, which is knowledge and wisdom. That's one. Instructional design, that's like creating videos, creating, if you want to have downloads, or just really creating that syllabus or architecture or learning path. Because we have a tendency, if you're also the knowledge and wisdom person, to cram way too much in there and forget what it's like to be a beginner and having a terrible instructional design. And then the third one is to pick the right tool for your job, for what you want to do. And one of the reasons Lifter LMS is built the way it is you don't get into that Frankenstein situation of having to string together all these different things to make it work. You can do it with just one company. So that's it. That would be my advice for the beginner, or the person who's trying to do it, is just start. Don't get obsessed with having perfect videos and audios and all that stuff, and really think honestly about those three areas. And if you're not able to do it all, don't do it alone. Try to build a team, try to form business partnerships. For these organic gardening courses, I'm more of the LMS guy and the marketer and stuff. So like I said, I would fly to like Costa Rica. I spent a winter down there with my family, and we filmed a permaculture design course down there with one of the number one best-selling authors in the world on the topic. So I didn't have to be the expert. But when you combined us together, we could create a powerful training program. So in most cases, I advise people not to do it alone.
Chris Badgett, everyone. LifterLMS.com. You can get Lifter LMS for $99. It's a steal. It's
actually free.
Oh, sorry, that's right. It's actually free, but it's totally worth the $99 to get the suite of add-ons, the support, all that stuff. But again, you can get it for free right up here on the screen, wordpress.org/plugins/lifterLMS. And if you're so inclined, Chris, you can't see this, but the rest of the world can. Discover how to make the perfect omelet every time. And we have Chris up on the screen here. He's mixing the egg in a glass, and there's a cat on the back by the sink roaming around while Chris teaches us how to make the perfect omelet. $20. If you're so inclined to learn that, you can get that there. Chris, thanks for doing the show. I'd love to have you back. Where can folks find you on the web to say thanks?
LifterLMS.com. I'm there. There's a contact form, and there's a way to actually schedule a 15-minute meeting with me if you want. I'm really engaged with our customers. I want to know what you're going through and what you're trying to do. It's how we build a great product. You can also find me on Twitter at Chris Badgett, and look for me if you're a Facebook person. The Lifter LMS VIP Facebook group is a great one to join. There's lots of education entrepreneurs in there trying to do the same thing if you're into this whole online course, membership site, LMS type of thing.
It's plugintut.com, pluggedinradio.com. If you do subscribe to this podcast through iTunes or Google Play, love a 5-star review. If you watch on YouTube, it's youtube.com/plugintut. I'd love an upvote, thumbs up, share it with friends and family, helps us get found. We'll see you next time.